Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
That was good.
Yeah. Were you saying hi to me or?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What are you doing here today?
I'm here to talk about Tradeskills and possibly runecrafting too.
Yay! Yes, Marc Chang is one of our systems designers, and he's specifically focused on Tradeskills with a little side of runecrafting, which is something that we're definitely going to be showing of today. But I guess I should tell you what all of this is all about. This whole thing, if you haven't been here before, is Casual Friday, where we sit casually on a Friday and we talk to you guys, answer some questions. We get a designer in or a dev in, and they show you all some super awesome stuff. I think we've had Kadium on, we've had Time Travel on, and now we have Mark.
Yep.
Yep. Are you excited to be here? You
So
really look super excited.
So excited.
Really?
Yeah.
I can feel it. I'm just like, woo.
Yeah. Well, I know people have had a lot of questions about Tradeskills and what they're going to look like once Reloaded launches. So.
They certainly have. And runecrafting. They've had a lot of questions about
runecrafting. Yeah.
All of that, we're going to go ahead and try to answer some questions today. And speaking of questions, put everything with a Q. If you're going to ask your question in chat, put a Q in front of it so I can see it and I can pick it out of the whole entire lineup of all the Qs and potentially answer it. We'll also answer some other questions, but today I would really like us to focus specifically on Tradeskills and runecrafting, which is Mark's area of expertise. In the meantime, just a real quick shout out, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and all of our other places that you can find us. Keep going back to the web. There's content being updated every single web content, not content in game, although we are updating that as well. But the content on the web is continuously being updated with new and interesting deep dives, some more news posts about things that you need to know about, some updates that direct you to the forums, etc., etc., etc. So also feedback on the forums. We still need some. Regarding PTR, regarding what you see on live, anything you want to talk about, our forums are the place to go. There are many places out there, but we appreciate that you come to ours. So one big thing we want to put out there that we have this nice peripheral system here. I don't know if you know of Razer and whatnot. And if you've been paying attention, we have a Gleam sweepstakes going on right now. It's basically we're giving away some peripherals and stuff, and you can go ahead and check out our website. We will go ahead and direct you to different things that you can do in order to become eligible to win some awesome things. In addition to that, we're constantly giving away fancy pants jackets, because those are awesome. Everybody loves them. I have a few right here, and we're going to be giving them away during a live stream, which we have pretty cool surprise about that, because Tony's worked on a really awesome idea. Oh yeah. So
it took me 10 seconds.
Okay, maybe he's laughing because he's like, it took me 10 seconds, but that was a great Tony impersonation, you know it. But it was really awesome. It's one of those moments where you're like, why didn't we think of this sooner? So anyway, enough about this. You want to know about Tradeskills, you want to know about runecrafting, so Mark is going to show us in game and tell us all about it.
All right. So I have here my PTR character. I believe this guy's a weaponsmith.
What's his name?
His name is Tongbei Quan.
Wow, very Jedi of him to have that name.
So I don't know if you're familiar with the trade skill window. You can either press K or talk to the crafting station to bring it up. Over here you can see what trade skills you've got. Over here you can look at your tech tree, and the last pane you can see what talents you've gotten. Talents are like bonuses that you get while you're crafting. So we try to make the whole trade skill process a lot smoother. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we got was, I'm a weaponsmith and I'm a stalker, so I want to make claws for myself, but the tech tree says I need to make swords and side blades before I can make claws, and that doesn't feel right because I don't care about those things. So the new tech tree, all the swords are linked together, so if you want to make swords, you just make swords, and if you want to make claws, you just make claws. But if you want to earn all your talent points, we still want you to complete the tech tree, so you still have to make everything within a tier to earn your talent points, and then hopefully you'll trade your gear that you don't need to other players.
And there's still some achievements attached to a lot of that still.
Yeah, so each of these tiers has an achievement associated with it: novice, apprentice, journeyman, artisan, expert. and the new master tier, which I'll talk about later. And then within each of those, you have the sub-tiers. For the non-master, there's novice, there's prototype, and there's capstone. So as you work through a tier, you'll make better things within that tier until you get enough XP to hit the next tier. So this guy's just a novice right now. I've already gone through the training gear. So I'll bring up, let's see, I'm a stalker, so I'm going to make some claws. So when you're looking at the tree, you can either click on a node, and that'll bring up the schematic right here, or you can actually just manually click on schematics if you know what it is you want to look for, right? So I'm a novice weaponsmith, I want claws, and I want the prototype schematic.
Cool, so there's two ways you can get to that,
Yep.
essentially. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we tried to make it as easy for you
And
to
intuitive.
find
Yeah.
what you want to make as possible. So first thing you'll see is here's the materials you're going to need. All right, so we've updated the recipes a little bit so that it's a little bit more even distribution between the common, uncommon, and rare materials that you need. There's also a new material for each of them that you can just buy from vendors, and the way power cores work is completely different from what it was before. Hopefully, it's a lot easier to understand. So if you mouse over the crafted item, the output, you'll notice, I can't really mouse because it's a mouse over, but you'll notice it says power core max level 12. So that means the most powerful power core I'm allowed to use for this recipe is a level 12 power core. And the power core tells you what level the crafted gear is going to be. So I could use a level 10 power core, and that means I get a level 10 piece of gear, or I could use a level 12 power core and I get a level 12 piece of gear. I can't use a level 14 power core because this one is limited to 12. So I'm going to load up the schematic. This is the new circuit board crafting screen. Once I hit the Start Craft button, all my materials are consumed and I spend the money. So this is the point of no return. Start craft, and that's it. My stuff is gone, so hopefully I won't fail.
Don't fail, man.
So the first thing you have to do is add the power core. So I have 3 valid power cores here, 8, 10, and 12. I have, I think, stronger ones in my inventory. Yep. So there's a level 30 power core, which I'm not allowed to use for this, right? So I want a blue level 12 power core, and you'll notice the charge meter down here fills up automatically. This starts at 0%, which does not mean 0 stats, right? In the old system, once you started the craft, the sockets started at 0, and that means you had no stats. Now, 0% means you have basic stats, right?
So it's a base level, and then
it's a base level item, right?
Okay.
So what this means is if you don't really care about the item you're crafting, like let's say you're just trying to get through the tree or whatever, you don't have to sit there and click like, oh, I have to click 5 times before I can even craft an item. You can just select power core and hit craft and you're done. There's no fail chance, so you don't even have to worry about failing. It's just 1 click for power core, 1 click for craft, and you're done.
Unless you want to increase. In this case, your vigor rating?
In this case, this is my vigor rating, which is one of our shiny new stats. And I am a DPS, and vigor is a DPS stat. So I'm good with vigor. But let's say I didn't want vigor, right? Let's say I wanted crit because stalkers like crit. I can change the stat to crit rating. Now you'll notice that the crit is red, but the socket here is the light green that we normally associate with logic. So that means these sockets are mismatched in their element, and the fail chance just went up because I did something I'm not really supposed to do. I'm still gonna let you do it, but there's a 13% chance I'll fail. It's actually...
the risk is real.
Yeah, so it would normally be a lot higher. If you mouse over this, you can see your fail chance reduction bonuses. And because this is PTR and I've got like some signature status and loyalty bonus things on there.
Nice pitch.
Yeah, so my my fail chance is reduced by 25%. I believe it's 10% from one and 15% from the other that they add together.
But yeah, you'll be able, like, everyone should have access to something like this, whether you're signature status or, you know, or you're not, getting bonuses and stuff like that to be able to, you know, craft gear and whatnot.
Yeah.
You'll be able to have access to those, not freebies, but, you know, omnibits, etc. So.
Yeah. And there are also other ways to get failure chance reduction bonuses. There are talents you can do it, and there may be a consumable. So, after my reduction bonus, I'm at 13% chance to fail, and that's just because I mismatched this. So let's say, you know what, I'm actually okay with vigor. I don't want to deal with that 13% chance. So 45 vigor rating, you know, that's pretty good. I think I could do better though. So,
you think so?
I'm gonna bump that up a little bit. So that's 50% more than what it was before.
Yeah.
So it's 50% charge, not 50% stat, which is a key difference, right? So I have 47 vigor rating I have 45 vigor rating normally. If I give myself 50% extra charge, that's 47 vigor rating. So, you know, two
Goes
more
up by
points.
two.
Two more points. And then 100%, that now brings it up to 50 vigor rating.
When you're at higher levels and you're, you know, running your raids and you're doing all of these things, that's going to make a big difference.
Right.
2 is huge.
Yes.
You know, when you're a little bit lower and you're just questing and doing silly things.
So,
and,
yeah, I mean, my character's level 50, but this is a level 12 piece of gear. So getting,
you might not want to wear that.
well, I know I need to progress my crafting tree.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, from 45 to 50, you know, percentage-wise, that's not bad. That's actually 12%. You can see right here how much extra stat rating points you're getting. So we give you all that info. So 12% overcharged, 16% fail rate, and let's see what happens. All right, I got it.
Yes.
So you can see I got some experience, I got an achievement, and now if we look at my tech tree, that filled in, and I have 1 out of 6 progress towards my next talent point. All right, so I really want that talent point. Let's make a sword. And start craft. All right, now since this isn't for me, and I don't really care what what the stats are, I'm just going to use a really let's use a green power core, because I might trade it to someone else. I don't really care what it is.
Or sell it.
Yeah, so this is a sword, and that means it's for a warrior. Warriors can be tanks, so deflect chance rating is fine. I don't really want to fail this, but because this is a deflect chance rating, I don't want this sword to have assault power, right? Because what tank wants assault power with deflect chance? So we have this slider bar, and now it's a support piece. You can swap this at any point, hit craft.
Look at that.
And there we go. There was no fail chance, so there we go. So, and there are my claws. I'm not really going to equip them because they're a lot worse than what I've got. And there's the new sword.
That's not much. It's, I mean, it's debatable.
So,
really.
yeah, I mean, you can see the maker's mark on there. So it says crafted by Tong Wei Quan. And the rune sockets it gets are random. So if you crafted a piece of gear, you can either recraft it to get the rune sockets you want, or you can use other methods to re-roll the rune sockets, which will be part of the rune crafting.
We won't give that away right yet.
Right. So let's see.
So
let's go. Well,
go ahead. No,
okay.
where are you leading? Because I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Because we're going to be making new raid gear, and there's a lot of questions on the forums, and of course in chat, and etc. What is the incentive to be, to crafting? Is the gear going to be as good as like dropped raid gear? Or can you make it as good with sockets and stuff like that?
That is a great question.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Super awesome question.
So the number one reason to craft is because you get to choose your stats. All right? Because the gear that drops in the world is either going to be random stat, so who knows what you're going to get, or it's predefined stats that the itemization team has put together. So they always try to give you useful things, but it may not be optimized for your build.
Exactly. So this gives you that opportunity to go ahead and make something that's custom fit for
Right.
the way you play.
Yeah, and it's also like, let's say I've been questing for the last 5 levels and I've gotten super unlucky and I don't have a chess piece.
There you go.
Well, you can just go craft a chess piece.
Or find somebody to craft one for you. 'Cause that's not uncommon either.
Right, so you can
know?
go to, so the other reason a lot of people like Tradeskills is for economic reasons. I'm going to sell my gear to people and make a ton of money off of it.
A load of money.
Yeah.
Can we do before we move from this section, because we know that you're doing your weaponsmith right now. So what are the other quick run through of crafting professions in the game? Because I know there's a lot, and new people are going to want to know all that they can have access to.
So we have a whole bunch of trade skills. The 4 that got the biggest updates because of our stat rework are weaponsmith, which makes weapons.
Yeah.
Armorer, because they make heavy gear. Outfitter, which makes medium gear, and tailor, which makes light gear. So because we reworked how all the stats work, those 4 trade skills needed to be completely overhauled.
Yeah, it was a big task.
Yeah.
Your team is just phenomenally busy.
We've been pretty busy. Yeah. So those are the 4 sort of gear with stat trade skills. There's also the technologist, which got a minor update, partly because of the rune rework, which we'll get to, and also because of the way power cores have changed, and technologists make power cores, so their power core recipes have been updated. Cooking is another trade skill. We updated the consumables that they make to work with the new stats, but aside from that, they're pretty much the same.
So anything that basically was attached in any way or affected in any way by stats.
Yeah, which is most things. Yeah.
Had to be refurbished.
Yeah. Oh, the technologist gadgets also got some updates.
Makes sense. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then runecrafting is technically a trade skill. It's a hobby, just like cooking is a hobby. And we also have the gathering trade skills, the trade skills that don't let you make things, that let you gather things. Those are mining, which got some minor updates. Survivalist, which the biggest change on Survivalist is that now if you want to collect the cloth materials for a tailor, you should really, really pick up Survivalist.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Is that a hint? Yeah. Hint.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
You should get Survivalist if you want tailor materials. And then Relic Hunter, I don't think we changed anything on Relic Hunter.
I don't think so. So let's answer a couple questions and then we'll move definitely into a different section. Are there going to be any changes to how large our trade skill bags are going to be and how many of each resource they can hold, or perhaps stack limit in the bank, regular bank? I think that's actually, someone else can answer that one. But
as to the best of my knowledge, that is a tech limitation that we have to work with. The number of items in the bag did change. We put a couple more things in there that weren't in there before, but the stack count is still 250.
The stack count.
Yeah.
The stack count has not changed.
Yeah.
Will you be able to craft the armor and weapons for your class and be a miner and, for example, tailor?
You can take 2 trade skills. So you can take the production trade skill for your own gear and the gathering resource for your own gear. You could also, if you wanted, take the armor producer for yourself and the weapon smith so that you can make your own weapons, but then you're going to rely on other players to get resources.
Right.
So we let you take 2, and there may be a way to get a 3rd one.
Ooh.
There might be.
But you're not talking.
That's not me. So.
Not talking. Okay. See, I guess. Not talking. It's censored. Okay, let's move. Well, you know what? Let's do. How about we do a giveaway?
Yeah!
What? Tony's like, woo, woo. So we're gonna go ahead and do a giveaway right now. We're going to give away a Fancy Pants jacket code for you North American audience goers, and Tony will be using our handy dandy new method to go ahead and display that for us.
So fancy.
Bazinga! There you go.
Boom! Cameras!
Hurry! Screen grab that, peeps. Whoop whoop. Let's send it out into the world. Go forth and prosper. Anyway, where were we?
Okay, so let's
You can tell Mark is completely unfazed.
Let's talk about talents.
He's been here before or something.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of new talents to work with the way circuit board crafting works now. So the way overcharge works is different. The way charge works is different. The way failure rate works is different. So one of the more interesting talents is what we call frequency resolution. If I take this talent and then start a craft, it's easier to show. So before, when I clicked right on this, it went up to 50%. Now it goes up to 25%. So that means I have better control over how I manipulate my stats.
Okay.
So in this case, there's only one stat for me to choose from. But in later crafted gear, there'll be 2 stats or 3 stats.
Oh.
So what I can do is like, well, I only want like 75% extra on this one, and then a different one, maybe -25. So that's actually something I didn't mention earlier. You can undercharge stats to make room in your overcharge for a different stat. So if there are 2 stats and you really want one and not the other, you undercharge one in order to overcharge the other one more.
Excellent.
So I'm going to close that. So that's the frequency resolution. Material efficiency, I think this is one we had before. Reduces some of your material requirements. Reduce your failure rate by 10%. There's one of those talent points I talked about. Decreases the penalty for mismatching a socket, so that if you don't get what you want, you can still manage. This one gives you more assault and support power options. So instead of it's all one or it's all the other, you can actually choose, well, I want 50-50 or I want 60-40. And you actually get a bonus to your power if you do a split.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
So we tried to give this option because some builds and some players actually want something in between, but because of the way assault and support power work with our stats, it's generally better just to dump everything into one.
Right.
So we wanted to make that sort of hybrid build a little bit more viable. So you get some bonus power if you do a split. We expect some PvPers to value that.
To enjoy that.
Yeah.
How about you, PvPers?
Yeah. So, but it's an option. You don't have to take the talent. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. This increased capacitance increases the range that you can over/undercharge. So if you remember before, I was able to get 5 extra stat points. If I take this, maybe I can get 6 or 7 extra stat points. Then we get into some of these elemental talents. So this one, for example, will stop fire sockets from showing up. So if you're like, you know what, I never want crit. It's just not what I'm going for. If I just don't want it to show up. So you would take this, and fire sockets just aren't there anymore. We've got one for the water sockets, which I think is multi-hit and glance. Don't have them all memorized anymore. We've got one for earth, air, and at the very bottom, life and logic, because these are
Just brings to mind our vine. Yeah, we're working on
Yeah, I saw that last night. That was
like you started it, and I'm almost like, water! Where's Tony? Logic.
Yeah,
Simple.
that was good. I enjoyed that.
Logic.
And then the battery is the one that the raiders and the min-maxers are really going to want. What this lets you do is it increases the total amount of overcharge we let you take.
Gotcha.
So the more you overcharge, the higher your fail rate.
Yes.
So if you take as many of these talent points as you can, your potential for an output item goes way up, but you're going to hit a failure rate of like well over 50%. So
okay, the risk on that is real.
yeah, risk versus reward. So
well, for those people who don't mind,
do you feel lucky?
Do you feel? We should have a little thing while they're doing that. Do you feel lucky today?
Yeah.
Oh, we might get a toggle option. That would be great.
So
I'll put that on the list of things to get.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the rundown of the new talents.
Awesome. Cool deal. Well, where did we go from here? We should probably give away another code maybe before we go into. Woo!
I think Tony wants to give away another code.
Let's do another code. This one's going to be for our EU folk. all you EU folk out there, go ahead and pay attention to your screen, because incoming is a nice EU Fancy Pants jacket code just for you.
Hold on there.
EU.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, you see what I did there? Yeah, I tried.
Took me a second.
Took me like more than a second to get your shirt, though. Let's see.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. We should try to challenge our folk
Yeah, can you
on the screen to figure out
what this
is.
means?
What is it? No cheating.
I've gotten some creative answers that were like, that almost works, but that's not what it is.
Well, maybe we'll. I don't know. Maybe we should throw out a special something for the person who actually gets what your shirt is.
Sure.
The first person in chat to tell us what this means will get a Fancy Pants jacket code.
Mojo Troll.
Mojo Troll. Mojo Troll will be getting in touch with you, but we need you to also tell us whether you're EU or North America. Mojo Troll. Mojo Troll got it. Mojo is the winner.
That was quick.
Very, very quick.
Yeah.
Like,
Because science is awesome.
science is awesome. For science.
Should we say what the answer was?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah. So, okay. Why don't you tell us?
All right. So the Fe is the elemental symbol for iron, and they're in.
Your own camera for this one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Stretch up.
So Fe, we're going to be a science lesson here. Fe is the elemental symbol for iron, and on my shirt they're arranged in a ring of ions, and the word to describe something that has a lot of iron is ferrous. So it is a Ferris wheel.
Boom!
What?
You just got science.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, that took me a long time to figure that one out. So congrats, Mojo Troll, for beating me
You didn't figure it out.
in a
You
game
just
of no.
You just told us.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Back to gameplay.
I was going to let you have it, but
no, this
that's
was
okay.
earlier. You guys are mean to me. That's it. Out. So, you know what? Let's get
Sure.
back to work for you.
Well, I mean, are there any other questions for
Let's
circular
see.
crafting?
I don't think there is any. At least nothing that has come right in. Any cooking drop love? Somebody wants to know about cooking drops.
We didn't really change cooking all that much, no.
Okay, sorry, folks. Cooking wasn't changed all that much. But you can see what was changed kind of a little bit if you've got access to the test server, because everything's up there right now, and that. Let's see. Let's get some questions in here regarding some more trade skills and stuff. Oh, any changes to architect?
No.
No, that was an easy answer.
No changes to architects.
Sorry, architects out there.
They don't do anything with stats.
Keep building. Keep building. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting question. So why is the crafting gear better than the raiding gear?
Okay, that's a little bit of a leading question. Depending on when you went on to PTR, there was a point where the crafted gear is better than the raid gear. And I think actually right now it might still be, but we've actually put in a change that you should be seeing with the next update, where we've basically rebalanced the end game crafted gear so that it is on par with raid gear.
Okay.
Even including overcharge and even including the fact that you can choose your own stats.
Cool deal.
Yeah.
There's a good question. This one's regarding blueprints. More specifically, they're asking if it's coming for architect, but I guess we could ask if more, blueprints, etc., are dropping for all of the classes.
So I mean, for the 4 trade skills that got the big overhaul,
Yeah.
the weaponsmith, armor, outfitter, and tailor, they used to have schematics that dropped in the world,
Right.
which you needed to fill out your tech tree in order to get your talent points. So it was really frustrating for a lot of people because they're like, I want my talent points, but this isn't dropping for me, I can't progress, blah, 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 blah. So for now, all of their schematics are either in the tech tree or on a vendor. So, and the ones that are on the vendor, you buy with crafting vouchers,
Okay.
which are the trade skill currency, and yeah, you just buy them, consume them, and then you know your recipe.
Excellent. Excellent. My tailor has her research tech tree filled out on live. What will I have to do to complete the new tech tree on free-to-play?
Ah, okay. That is a great question. So the research tree, which has now been replaced by the master tier, we did some engineering magic with some really great engineers that we've got. So we'll basically, any progress you've done in any of your tech trees will convert into the new tech tree. So if you've filled out like 6 nodes, we're going to give you 6 nodes. Even if the new node is a lot harder than the other one or whatever, we just blanket give you your progress back. The research tree also required Eldon data fragments, which were a time-gated mechanic.
Yeah.
That we've actually gotten rid of that whole thing. So
they just cut it out and...
Yeah. The master tier, which I'm not a master weaponsmith right now, but I can bring up the window. These are the nodes that they're not linked to each other like in the others, because you don't actually learn these schematics through the tech tree. These are the ones you get from the vendor. So there's no Eldon data fragments required. There was also that whole prototype system where players would have to craft something once and then you unlock an alternate recipe for the same item and then you can craft it a different way. A lot of people found that confusing, so we got rid of that. It's basically, it's all on the vendor now. These do require special materials. I can't even show you the recipe because I'm not high enough.
No.
Yeah, I'm not a master weaponsmith yet. But these will require a special material that drops in the raids.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a Datascape set of weapons, you're going to need Datascape materials. So you either have to get yourself into Datascape or find someone else who will be willing to give you those materials.
Or, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Make lots of friends. Lots of friends.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Are there going to be any changes to crafting dailies moving forward?
We've actually updated pretty much all the crafting dailies. Basically, at each tier now, you'll get 3 dailies. One to make, for a given tier, the training, the prototype, and the capstone. And because the training ones are easier to make, they have a little bit of a lower reward. And because the capstone ones are harder to make, they have a little bit of a better reward.
Gotcha.
You can also turn all of your crafting dailies into the work order board, so you don't have to hunt around for your NPC.
And there you have it. It seems like there's only 1 orange, 1 fire socket options, while there's 3 to 4 green, 2 water, and 2 white, and so on. Why only 1 orange and fire socket option? Is that just perception?
There should be 2. Or no, there's 1. That is correct. There's 1 fire option. That is a relic of some iteration that we did, and when we first allocated the stats to different elements, that's how they fell. But this does mean that it leaves us open to the future if and when we ever decide to add new stats. We know where they're going to go.
I'm not sure. Can you answer this one? Let's ask it anyway, and if we can answer,
Sure.
great. If not, person Wibbly, put your question on the forums, and we'll find somebody who can. If you learn a gathering trade skill and then delete it, and then learn a crafting trade skill, will you be able to relearn the gathering trade skill and still have the same progress?
Yes.
Well, you can answer those questions.
Yes. You can have, by default, 2 active trade skills at a time. If you talk to the crafting trainer, you can swap out your trade skill, and you'll retain all your progress if you've learned it before. There is a cost associated with it, and there's a cooldown.
Yeah.
So you can't just like swap 5 times a day or anything like that.
Nothing in life is free.
Yeah.
Or in game.
Right, and the cooldown is actually linked to your progress in that trade skill. So if it's higher, it takes a little bit longer.
Really? Well, that makes sense, actually.
But it means that if like you're in the first tier and you try it out for just a tiny bit and you decide you hate it, you can pretty much swap right away.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, actually. Just be, there's a lot more investment in it. You've spent a lot more time in it, so the risk should be, really real.
Well, it's not a risk. It's
It's
just
risk.
time.
The loss should be,
the cost.
The cost to do something again should definitely not hurt, but feel a little itchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and then we'll get into what you were going to tell us about the tech tree. Because you were going to say something. You kind of clicked in there. Or move along. Did you finish what you
Well,
were?
I think I actually covered it with one of the questions.
Okay, cool.
It was just
well,
about
then we
the
can
raid
probably,
materials. Yeah.
let's go ahead and answer a couple more questions. If you're a Taylor Relic Hunter, you'll have to swap out to Survivalist in order to gather your own mats after free-to-play launch? Question?
Have to is a strong word. If you want to be able to continue to collect your own things for the Tailor, then yes, you'll have to swap Relic Hunter away.
Got it. Though architects haven't been changed dramatically since we don't deal with stats, are daily quests changed like the others with no more data fragments?
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, not sure about that one. Clover, we know Clover. Ask on the forums. Head on over there, put that question in there, and we'll get somebody to help you with that one. Let's see. That's a holiday question. We're answering trade skill and runecrafting questions today, folks. Wolf Girl, thank you. If a WildStar could eat cupcakes, how many cupcakes would a WildStar eat?
17.
The answer is 17.
Is that on one of our tooltips, like on the loading screens?
I think I've seen that one before. Yeah. Are the old crafted gear and weapon models, including PvP models, being preserved within the game somewhere?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the end of those questions. Let's move on. How about, we're doing trade skills. Are we good? How about runecrafting? And we did want to dip a little bit into that.
Sure.
Yeah?
Let's head over to the runecrafting station.
In the meantime, while we're heading over there, we're going to give away a couple more codes. So we're going to give away another North American Fancy Pants jacket code. It's right here. Okay? I'm going to set it up. And Tony is going to make the magic happen. This is a North American code.
Magic!
Whoop, whoop. There it is. Enjoy.
So the next step would be to get like sparkle effects on there.
And then here's an EU one. Ugh. And magic again.
Magic!
Whoop whoop.
So stupid.
Really, it is, but hey, Tony says it's so stupid, but you know, it is magic. It is magic. Okay, cool. Now, on to bigger and other things.
Okay. So, runecrafting, pretty big update here too. So, the first thing, probably one of the most confusing things about runecrafting the way it was before is that the power of a rune when you put it into an item was dependent on the item that you put it into. It's not dependent on the rune. And that was really confusing. It also means that if you have a rune, you should save it for as long as possible because it's just going to get stronger later. So we wanted to make it so that, you know, if you have a rune, you want to use it. So runes are now just, they give you flat stat amounts. So if I look at, you know, just a level 10 rune, it's going to tell me this gives me 80 multi-hit rating. Doesn't matter where it goes, it's just going to give me 80. And then a level 20 rune gives me 110. So they just get more and more powerful. There's no reason to save them. If you can use it, just use it. We've also reduced the total number of rune sockets that you have from, it was something like around 80 rune sockets that you had to manage before, and now it's about 35 if you've got like all raid gear.
10 times more manageable.
Right. So, but we didn't want to take power away from players. So even though you have fewer rune sockets than before, each individual rune socket is way stronger than it used to be. We still have the different elements. There is no more fusion element rune. Like fusion is not an element. It was. Gotcha. It's more of a conglomeration of all the elements.
Fusion.
Yeah, fusion. Like they're all fused together.
Fusion.
So we still have the concept of fusion, just in a different way. So the way it is we have fusion runes, and because they're basically considered a combination of every element. That means they can go into any rune socket.
Excellent.
All right. And then you also can have gear with a fusion rune slot on it.
Interesting.
And that means it can take any sort of rune.
Okay.
Because if it's, you can put a fire rune in there, you could put a life rune in there, you could put a fusion rune in there.
Now,
right?
could you change that socket? I know that
you can.
there's options for
you
that.
You can. So let's say you didn't get the element you wanted.
Right.
There's a little die symbol down here, and we let you just change the element of the rune slot. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can spend in-game gold, and you'll get a random element. So if I did this, I went from life to earth, and let's say I want fire. Well, I went back to life. And now I have logic. And now I have air.
That's
right?
a very expensive decision.
So yeah, it might take a while. You might get lucky on your first try.
Yeah.
If you don't want to deal with that, well, that's what service tokens are for.
There you go.
All right. So if you have some service tokens, I mean, it all scales based on the level of the item, but just pick the element you want, and you're done with it.
Okay, cool.
Similarly, you can add a rune socket. There's a limit. You can add 1 to every piece of gear. Well, most pieces of gear. And again, you can use gold and you'll get a random element, or you can use service tokens and get the element you want.
Excellent.
So once you've added one, you can still re-roll it.
Cool beans.
Right. So,
Yay.
hey, there's the fire. So you don't have to deal with the Elden Runic module, or the runic fluxes and whatever we called them before. Those are just not even a thing anymore.
Those are so far in the past. We're
Yeah.
moving forward.
I don't even remember what they're called. So. All right, so those are pretty much the major changes. The other really major change to runes is set runes. All right, so the way sets used to work is you would have a rune set, which is just a group of runes that if you put them together, you get a bonus. And if you put them anywhere in your character, they just combine into the set. Now you have to complete the set within one piece of gear. So if I want, one of these, let's say, contender set or whatever, let's see, what was it, a level 80 set, I would have to put these into one piece of gear to get the bonus.
Okay.
All right, but, this is actually a stalker set. Let's pick something that isn't a class set. So here's a Devastation, right? This looks like a DPS set. It's got crit, crit sev, and health on it. So let's say I really like these bonuses, right? Strike through and crit, awesome. I want tons of that. I can actually put this set in one piece of gear, and then I can put it in another piece of gear, and then another piece of gear, and another piece of gear. And I'll get the bonus each time.
Yeah.
Each piece of gear has its own set that it's managing. So I can't put one piece in one piece of gear and another in another piece of gear.
Gotcha.
I have
it has to be in the one piece of gear.
Yeah. So I could slot it a whole bunch of times. And then we still maintain the whole, we have low power runes, which give you 1 point towards the set. And then we have high power runes that give you 2 points towards the set.
Excellent.
So
okay.
go for the high power runes.
Go. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good question, especially for the people who are new to the game and stuff like that. Would putting a life rune into a fusion slot, rune socket, reduce the effectiveness of that rune?
No. The effectiveness of the rune is just, you don't change it ever.
No. So if you put a water in a fire.
Well, you can't put a water in a fire. You can put a life into a fusion because fusion takes any element.
Okay. Okay, and it doesn't decrease at all. It's just, it's straight up.
Fusion is just, you always want fusion.
Fusion is fusion. Fusion. So that answers the question, is there a penalty for the mismatch? There's no real penalty, really, if it's fusion, because it's all of the things, but there can't be a penalty for a mismatch because it just won't work.
The mismatch penalties is for circuit board crafting, right? If you put a stat into a stat socket that doesn't match, then there's a penalty. But for runes, you have to match it, unless it's fusion.
Got it. One question here, again, I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but again, always putting the caveat out there. If we can't answer it, put it on the forums, we'll find someone who can. Why are exceptional runes so necessary now? On live, they're useless, but on PTR, they're required in almost every single slot.
They're better, so if you are making the case that you will only use the best, then they are required. The low power ones, their intent is this is what you use until you find the high power stuff. Just like any sort of gear progression, you start with the weaker stuff and you end with the stronger stuff.
Got it. Got it. There's a Wolf Girl. You have a really good question there. I'm not going to answer it, but it's a really good question. Oh, Mark, this one's a great one. Essentially, it's why do WildStar devs care so damn much about the players? And the answer is because we love you. We do.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Who else is going to play our games?
Yeah, I mean, the game is for you, so.
Let's see. Let's see. More questions. Is the cost going to be adjusted for re-rolling? I'm assuming they're re-rolling your trade skills and stuff.
I think they're referring to re-rolling rune sockets.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, because it's, the second part of that question.
Yeah, it was.
PTR was 75 plus plat.
Yes, it started way too cheap, and then it turned into way too expensive.
And now it's...
So next week, I think, is when the next PTR update hits.
And I think also don't we have Meerkats in the threads and stuff talking about a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
And you guys are in there trying to answer as many questions as possible because, understandably, this has been one of our largest changes.
Yeah.
Ever. The stat refactor has been huge.
So many late nights.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you. Thank you for doing that. We really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. And if no one else does, I certainly do.
All right.
Is that worth it? Does that make it all?
That makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Excellent. We have time to talk a little bit about anything that you want to let us know about, and then we also have time for a couple more questions.
So another thing with runes is we've got these really fancy new class rune sets. So the class rune sets, let's see if I can find one for Stalker. So one thing I will mention, the Runecrafting UI is getting an update that you should be seeing next week. We got a lot of feedback on it, so thank you very much. The search button is going to be gone, so you don't have to click search each time you update your filter. And we've added a class filter so that you can narrow this list down to only see things that are for your class. Just some of the things, this is why we need feedback, right? So, let's see.
Hint, hint, we need feedback.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Assassin is a Stalker set. So there we go. So class sets are like the end game super powerful sets. These are the things you chase. They add specials to your character at 4 and 8 set power.
Wow.
And these, the class team did a great job designing these to completely change your class mechanics. Your rotations are going to change. Certain abilities are going to become more viable than what they were before. It's super cool, and you should definitely try to check those out if you can. They do require special crafting materials to create, so
And how are those materials acquired?
Well, get yourself into raids, because that's where all the good stuff is.
Search your reads.
Yep.
That was my pirate day.
But again,
really sucked. I'm sorry.
trade skill materials are typically all tradable, so you can also try and convince. Yeah, make friends or make money.
Join guilds. Make friends. Help.
So yeah, and one other thing I want to call out specifically. This isn't actually a change, but it's something that we're trying to get players to realize. You can actually edit your runes on your gear anywhere in the world. You don't have to be near a crafting station. A lot of people didn't realize that if you shift right click, you can click edit runes, and it brings all of this up.
There you go.
We updated the way this looks, but you could actually always do this.
Now, is there a cooldown for it? Because sometimes you're going to want to change your runes in maybe some gear depending on
there's no cooldown.
Arenas, like what you're doing or what, basically what you want to do is like support role or whatnot.
I mean, there are limitations to changing your gear when you're queuing for things and when you're in a PvP instance, but if you're out in the world questing or whatever, you can do this whenever you want.
So similar to like if you're in combat, obviously you can't change out your gear.
Right. Yeah.
So probably can't change out your runes either.
Yep. But you'll notice, since I didn't use the crafting station, the create runes tabs are grayed out.
Yay.
So I can't create runes. I can just
You can just change them out.
I can change them
So
out.
whatever
I
you
don't
have
have
in
any
your-
runes
yeah.
right now, but yeah.
If you had something in your bag, we would see it and it would highlight, and you could use those
Yep.
those things.
I mean, I can make something real quick. What do I have? Fire slot. Let's make a crit rune.
Oh, good question. This one's from Ox. Will the best crafted items, item level 118, I believe, become tradable?
For crafted gear?
Uh-huh.
So that's actually one of the updates you'll see next week. It's not 118 anymore. It is actually 110. So it came down by 8 item levels, but we've also manipulated the way you can overcharge. So we did some calculations with 110 gear and overcharging to max. It is about comparable to the 116 gear that you'll find in Datascape. The gear will be tradable, but it has imbuements on it, which are quest lines that are from the item. So in its tradable state, it's actually item level 85, which is actually, it's a little bit under what you get from killing world bosses.
Gotcha.
So it's 85. The first imbuement, just get yourself into Datascape, and there's a little creature you click on, and he powers you up to 95, I think. Yeah,
Something like
95.
that. Okay.
And then if you kill the first boss, it used to be one of the later bosses, Maelstrom Authority, but now it's the first boss, System Daemons. If you kill that, then you pump up to 110, and if you've overcharged, you should see something equivalent to 116.
Crazy.
Giveaway!
Oh, the giveaway. Can they hear you when you say that?
A little bit, maybe. I don't
Yeah. Can you guys hear Tony when he gets all cray-cray? Okay, so we're going to do a giveaway. Whoop, whoop. North American and European. We're going to start with the European code right here. And go.
Which one is this?
That's the European code. European Fancy Pants Jacket code. Jacket. Fancy Pants Jacket. Jacket, jacket, jacket. Code, code. Oh, hi. And we're going to do North American version of that exact Fancy Pants Jacket code for North Americans everywhere. There you go. So if you have the North American client, you can use that code. There you go.
Yay!
Woo! I think we're gonna wrap things up. Mark, do you want to leave all of the players with anything? Is there something we missed, or there's one thing you want us to know?
So one other thing I do want to mention, if you have crafted gear on live right now, because the stats are changing and because you probably picked your own stats, and we don't know what stats you picked, we're going to mail you a master crafting token. And what you do is you take that token and you bring it to the Master Craftsman NPC, which is right here. And if you have one of these tokens, you talk to that guy, and you can recraft your piece of gear for free, with free overcharge and no fail chance.
That's excellent.
So you should, continue to craft your gear on live. Don't worry like, oh, it's just going to go away. Everything will still transfer over. Yeah, there's no fail chance, free overcharge. There's a couple other bonuses that the Master Craftsman gets too.
Okay.
But yeah, don't worry about that. It's super straightforward.
Excellent, excellent. And that's for all you people who have been worried about that and stuff. There's the answer to your question. That's how that's going to work.
Yep.
Cool. Again, we really, really thank everybody for joining us today on Casual Friday, where everything is casual all the time, especially me. And we're going to thank Mark for being here. Thank you, Marc Chang, for being here.
Sure.
Everybody give him a round of applause.
Woo! Community shout out. Olympian Monster.
Olympian Monster is coming up next.
Streaming.
Olympian Monster is streaming right now, so after the Casual Friday show, when we say goodbye, go ahead and go over to Olympian Monster and watch some WildStar being played as we speak.
Link is in chat.
The link is in the chat. In the meantime, follow us on all of our social channels, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, all of the places. Don't forget that we have a free-to-play sweepstakes going on right now. We're also going to link that in chat. Go ahead and click that link. Follow all the prompts to do all of the things to make yourself eligible to win some razor materials. And peripherals, not materials. Who buys materials anymore? Peripherals.
It's because all the trade skill materials that we were talking about. Yeah.
And it's with these like little clacky things. They're super clacky. Clacky. Mechanical keyboards, I love them. And that's that.
I'm also going to be doing an AMA later
Yes.
with some of the other guys here.
You should know that for sure. We've scheduled a Runecrafting Tradeskills AMA with our team, our systems team, and our designers and stuff to make sure that all of the questions that you have are going to be answered and whatnot. So we'll give you more information as the days roll on. We'll have more information of when that's going to happen, the time it's going to happen. It will be in Reddit, so we'll have a link to that thread where you can ask all the questions that haven't been answered there. Alternatively, if you have a lot of questions, these guys are in the forums constantly. Go ahead and put your question on the forums. If they can't answer it, we will find somebody who can. We just need to know. So go ahead and put your questions in the forums. And that is that. Anything else you want to say to the fine people out there?
Go play WildStar. I don't know.
Go ride a Ferris wheel.
Yeah.